Hi, and welcome to Batman 101. In preparation for the release of the exciting new installment of Frank Miller's Dark Knight series, it seems like a good time to get caught up on everything that's been happening to Batman over the last 76 years. So let's start at the beginning. Batman was first seen in Detective Comics number 27 in May of 1939. Created by Bob Kane and Bill Finger, although poor Bill never really gets any credit. Inspired by characters like Zorro and Sherlock Holmes, Batman is part masked vigilante, part brilliant detective. Initially not as popular as his famous super friend, Superman, over the years, Batman has risen in popularity to become one of the most recognizable comic book superheroes of all time. Batman's origin story is as well known as it is tragic. A fateful trip to the opera, and a questionable exit down a conveniently located darkened alley ended with 8-year-old Bruce Wayne kneeling between the artistically placed corpses of his dead parents. That night, Bruce swore an oath to dedicate his life to fighting crime and cleaning up the streets of Gotham. Luckily, his parents were incredibly wealthy and left him in the surprisingly capable hands of his longtime butler, Alfred Pennyworth, a man of many talents. With Alfred's somewhat unwilling support, Bruce began training to become the one and only Batman. Soon, Gotham City had a dark protector, a lone vigilante, one who would eventually spend almost as much time looming and brooding as he did fighting crime. But Batman didn't have to loom alone for long, as he was soon joined by his faithful sidekick, Robin, the Boy Wonder. Introduced in 1940 to give the young audience a character to identify with, Dick Grayson became yet another unexpected orphan when his acrobat parents were murdered right before his very eyes. Bruce adopted Dick, thus the dynamic duo was born. Soon, a plethora of villains came crawling out of the woodwork to take on the twosome. Big names like the Joker, Catwoman, Two-Face, Penguin, Riddler, almost as famous as the Bat himself, this rogues gallery is what really put Gotham City on the map. Though these villains attempt to carry out their evil and often insane plans, they usually end up right back where they started in Arkham Asylum, Gotham's home for the mentally unstable. Although Arkham sees a ludicrously high number of escapes each year, Batman and Robin continue to fill its holes with the dangerously deranged denizens of Gotham. However, sadly, no partnership can last forever, and eventually Dick Grayson decided to spread his wings and leave the nest. Dick moved to Bloodhaven and took on the role of Nightwing, yet another crime-fighting vigilante, because as it turns out, the Bat Apple doesn't fall far from the Bat Tree. Dick left and was replaced by a kid Batman literally found on the street, trying to steal the Batmobile's tires. Jason Todd became the second Robin, but unfortunately for him, he wasn't so popular with the readers, and in a 1988 poll, they voted to remove him from the comic. And so, for the crime of not being popular enough, Jason was beaten to death with a crowbar by the Joker. Fear not, though, gentle viewers, for in comic books no one truly dies, and Jason was resurrected, and now once again fights crime, although he's shed the green tights and opted for a leather jacket. Now we're on to our third Robin, and you may begin to wonder, perhaps having a child sidekick, not as great an idea as it originally seemed. Batman was beginning to think the same, so he initially refused his young neighbor Tim Drake when the kid turned up at his door, insisting that Batman needed a Robin. Eventually, however, Tim wore him down and joined the team. Tim was the detective Robin, the only one smart enough to figure out Bruce Wayne was Batman all by himself. Remember, Dick was the acrobatic athletic one, and Jason was the one that no one liked. But here's where it gets a tad complicated, because Tim was the third Robin chronologically, but technically, the real third Robin was Carrie Kelly. Her first issue predated Tim's by 3 whole years, even though the story occurs when Batman is 55 years old. Carrie is the Robin of Frank Miller's Dark Knight series, a story based entirely in the future, where Batman comes out of retirement to save Gotham from the Joker. So even though in real time her introduction predates Tim, within the canon, she actually comes afterwards. Although actually, technically, the Dark Knight series is not a part of canon because, according to comic book lore, the Dark Knight series takes place on Earth 31, which is a different planet of the same multiverse. And you know what? Actually, no, No one has time to explain the multiverse. Just let's accept it and move on. So while we're on the topic of ladies being badass and fighting crime, let's talk about Batgirl. Barbara Gordon, the first Batgirl, is the daughter of Commissioner Jim Gordon, one of Batman's greatest allies. Barbara's father doesn't know she's Batgirl, and although Batman initially tried to stop her, eventually he accepted her as his sidekick. Barbara fought crime with the dynamic duo until 1988, when she was shot in the stomach by the Joker and relegated to a wheelchair. An unstoppable force of nature, though, Barbara accepted her new life and took on the role of Oracle, helping the team from behind the scenes and running the whole show from her computer. Recently, though, Barbara has made a miraculous recovery and is now, once again, protecting Gotham as Batgirl. The current Robin is actually Batman's true son, Damian Wayne, the product of a crazy night of passion and deception with Talia al Ghul, the most evil of Bruce's exes. Trained by his grandfather, Ra's al Ghul, in the ways of an assassin, Damian decided to join his father's team and try out life on the side of good. Although he initially struggled with the concept of murder-free justice, Damian really settled into the role of Robin after Bruce's death. Side note, that wasn't even the first time Bruce died. Again, don't ask. Bruce has died and come back to life more than once. He's actually dead right now. Welcome to comic books. When Dick stepped in as Batman, Damian finally began to accept the Bat family rules and truly committed to the cause. Side note, Damian later also died, but has since been resurrected. Recently, Dick also appeared to have died, but he is actually also still alive. Also, the Joker is dead right now. Also, Jim Gordon is Batman. Batman is also now a robot. Nothing makes sense anymore. Welcome to comic books. Batman has a long and complicated history. He has many more sidekicks than we have time to name, and many more villains than we could possibly list. He has survived floods, earthquakes, and even come back from a broken back. It's been over 75 years at this point. There's been several films, many series, a couple of video games, and hundreds of comics. Batman has probably faced every tragedy, disaster, and emergency known to man. With the release of Frank Miller's new Dark Knight series, you'll get to see even more of Bruce in action. If you liked what you heard, we've added a list of comics below, so you can do just that. When you're finished with those, why not try out some of the new stuff? You'll find them in your local comic book stores, they're released once a month, and there's loads of Bat comics to choose from. If you're already a Bat fan and you think we left out something key to the storyline, please comment below so that other users can find out about it.